I have a guest commentator with me for the rest of the program to offer her perspective on some of the talking points and what you might have heard on the show today. And the journalist, political affairs commentator, and a Rise News analyst, Dr. Constance Ikoku, is here. Great to see you again.
Great to see you too.
You heard Paul Alaje earlier. He's an economist. He owns a rice mill, and he says the rice mill is at risk of going under because of rising diesel costs. Very passionate. And clearly, you know, very expressive of the things that are happening to him. What do you make of all that?
I mean, it was a brilliant conversation for the two guests, actually. Paul, as usual, was firing from all cylinders. Very direct, informed, and engaging. And the staggering information for me that I took away is that the cost of diesel was 200 naira in 2021, and now in 2023, just over 2 years, it's over 1,000 naira.
Staggering.
Yes, it's staggering, and it's almost overwhelming to think about what these guys are going through. So it definitely means that something needs to be done about it.
Right.
He mentioned local production. Yes, we definitely need to increase or start local production. And I was wondering, I know about the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline that is to start from Warri through Niger, through Algeria to Europe, shipping gas to Europe. And I wonder if we're going to be doing that, why are we not even using optimally gas in our country if we have it in abundance?
Absolutely. Gas will be an alternative energy source.
You have to diversify the energy source.
And obviously, beyond the sort of diesel and and so on. I mean, in terms of the impact on manufacturers and businesses, you've got to combine that with the foreign exchange crisis, because they import virtually everything they use to make their products, and the fact that the transportation of goods using trailers and trucks and all the rest of it, all affected by diesel costs. And it's all that having an impact on a very fragile economy and on the economic outlook going forward.
Yeah, that's right. So when you think about it again, the All Progressive Congress, which is the ruling party, must be having an Oppenheimer moment. If they're not having that, then something is seriously wrong. Due to the fact that they have been in power 9 years, 8 years of Buhari, this is the 9th year. And it has been bad news all round. Everyone can see it. They are not catching a breath, and it doesn't look like they have an official policy that is rolled out, with time, properly, collaboratively to, work on the economy. Everything seems disjointed, and everyone is doing whatever they want to do. And that dovetails into what Dr. Peter Said was talking about when he talked about economic diplomacy. Yes, it's good to go out there, do economic diplomacy, but you have to do your work at home. And he mentioned countries like Japan, China. And what I wanted to say about that is that China wasn't playing at all. For a very long time, they were growing at a rate of at least 10% or more. A very long time. How many percentage have you been growing for the last 8 years? Or 9 years in Nigeria. So that's something to think about. And of course, also, China is very disciplined. They're not joking with the rule of law. They have strong values, strong governance structures, very little primitive accumulation by politicians. Do you want to compare that with Nigerian politicians and government officials who most times seem to be more interested about the kind of expensive vehicles they're going to be driving, the kind of expensive homes they have to live in, and how much they have to travel and collect extra code? There's so much unseriousness, and you see that impacting on the economy and other parts of the country.
And certainly it also impacts on the perception of people abroad. And Dr. Peter Said was talking about the president and his vice as the most traveled in their first 100 days in office since 1999. And he was trying to assess the value of that massive diplomatic shuttle, what it was aiming to achieve. And he was making the argument that you've got to do that hand in hand with domestic development and creating the enabling environment to attract foreign investment. What do you think of that?
Well, I heard him say that, but you don't need to chase around investment. When your house is good and in order, they will chase you, they will come. And it seems like at the moment, Nigeria is a bit lost at the global stage. And there is a reason for that. I mean, there are a couple of things that you need to do. If you want to have that clout globally, you have to have a combination of economic, political, military, and soft power capabilities in order to build that influence. And it takes decades of careful planning, of consistent effort, of governance, good and effective governance to, create that influence, create that visage. It really takes time. I think we've fallen off, for the past couple of years. And that is why, a group like BRICS did not even mention Nigeria or talk to them. People say it's not important. They invited Iran, Ethiopia, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and people say it doesn't matter. It matters. Why does it matter? We are the biggest economy. Well, we interchange with South Africa, but we have a very big economy in Africa. We are the largest in terms of population. In the global south, we should have a solid voice. And so you have this emerging group that covers a lot of the global south and will be even bigger. I mean, already 40% of the world population is in BRICS, and a quarter of the global economy is under the BRICS, and it will grow. Why would Nigeria not be on the table inviting other people?
You actually you made a very good point when you talked about one of the key things being consistency, which is what the Chinese have done. Because if you go back to the days of President Obasanjo, I mean, the Nigerian economy was growing really fast, and the policies and everything were very conducive to foreign direct investment, and you had a lot of it coming in. And at that point, the discussion being had very, very seriously was that BRICS was going to become BRINCS, and the end there was Nigeria. But obviously that conversation is off the table.
Yes. Very correct. So during Obasanjo, we were growing at the rate of more than 7%. And if we had continued, we would have been in another spot now. But when you see politicians think it's a joke, okay, the APC says we want power. You have power, you're not prepared for it. You're not doing nothing with it. Instead, you sort of brought the country to its knees. And yes, Dr. Peter Said says, have patience. What kind of patience are you talking about? The world is moving. People are suffering. So what is going on with the fuel price now is causing or deepening inequality. Income inequality, because you see that people's low-income people especially spend a significant portion of their income on transportation and energy costs. Electricity tariff is not cheap at all. And then this might lead to social unrest. Labour is already talking about the strike they're going to have next week. This could eventually lead to more unrest. And then, of course, it reduces economic growth. When it is very expensive to do business, people have to lay off workers. That means you have more problems. And of course, you have the problem of inflation as well, because it's very expensive to produce anything. They then transfer the cost on the consumers. That means the prices of goods are, going higher and higher. So it's a lot to tackle. So governance is not a joke. If you're going to be the president or you're going to be the ruling party, do the work.
Right. Well, let's hope that, as Dr. Dakuka Peterside pointed out, that now that you've got an economic team in place, that in the next few weeks to a month, they'll roll out a strategy and begin to implement it. I want to thank you very much indeed, Dr. Constance Ikoku. She's a journalist, political affairs commentator, and Arise News analyst. That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Lagos, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.